Hello, Agri Learners. Today is another lecture on the subject of soil science. And ang process pa rin natin is the same. We're going to answer some questions and explain why these are the answers and why the other choices are not the answer. So let's start off with question number one. The phosphate fertilizer is manufactured by the reaction of apatite with sulfuric acid and water. So anong tawag daw sa phosphate fertilizer na to? Kung saan nagagawa siya. So it is being manufactured by the apatite reacting with sulfuric acid and water. Do we call that fertilizer ammonium phosphate, complete, ordinary superphosphate, or triple superphosphate? So some key concepts that we need to understand to answer this question are the following. Una, what are phosphate fertilizers? So phosphate fertilizers, these are type of fertilizers that supply what type of macronutrient kaya? It supplies phosphorus, tama. So phosphorus is an essential or a macronutrient for plant growth. Ano naman ang apatite? Apatite is a natural mineral or a rock that contains phosphorus. So mostly kapag gagawa ka ng any phosphate fertilizers, isa sa mga starting material is an apatite. Okay, in the production, isa sa mga starting material to produce phosphate fertilizers is apatite. And what is sulfuric acid? Now, sulfuric acid is an acid that reacts with apatite, okay, to produce a phosphate fertilizer. And kapag itong apatite na to, which is a type of mineral or a rock na may phosphate, reacts with sulfuric acid and water, nagkikreate siya ng phosphate fertilizer na ginagamit natin sa ating halaman. So we now move with the choices to analyze kung alin kaya dyan ang isang phosphate fertilizer. So yun muna yung tanong ko. Among all of the following, alin dyan yung phosphate fertilizer? So given the name pa lang, malalaman na natin na letter B will be cancelled. Tama? Well, given the name pa lang, wala siyang phosphate dito. In fact, a complete fertilizer is a fertilizer that contains a balanced mix of your three essential nutrients, which is NPK, di ba? So a mix of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So there, kahit na sabihin natin nagbibigay siya ng phosphorus, hindi siya isang phosphate fertilizer because it gives not just phosphorus but other macronutrients as well, such as your nitrogen and phosphorus. So in fact, it is not specific to the reaction of your apatite and sulfuric acid. Therefore, apatite now will be complete now. Complete here will be removed as the answer. So you now have three phosphate fertilizers: ammonium phosphate, ordinary superphosphate, and triple superphosphate. So unahin natin yung letter A, ammonium phosphate. Now this type of fertilizer is made not by reacting. So again, not by the reaction of apatite with sulfuric acid, but rather with the reaction of ammonia with the word ammonium. So ammonium reacting with phosphoric acid. So hindi apatite yung ginagamit nating material but rather ammonium reacting to phosphoric acid, not sulfuric acid. So ammonium phosphate is not the correct answer here. How about triple superphosphate? Now, triple superphosphate, yes, it is made up of reacting yung ating rock, yung ating apatite, yung ating phosphate rock. So, ginagamit siya as a primary material. However, sa triple superphosphate, it is apatite reacting not with sulfuric acid, so hindi sulfuric acid ang triple phosphate, but rather phosphoric acid. So apatite reacting with phosphoric acid will create a triple superphosphate. So therefore, this is not the correct answer kasi ang hinahanap natin is the fertilizer kung saan ginagawa siya by mixing or reacting apatite with sulfuric acid. So we are now left with letter C, which is the correct answer. So ordinary superphosphate, you get, paano natin ginagawa ang isang ordinary superphosphate? You get your apatite, plus your sulfuric acid and water. Makakagawa ka ngayon ng ordinary superphosphate. So among the two, ordinary and triple superphosphate, ano sa tingin nyo ang may mas mataas na phosphorus content? Okay, so among these two, mas mataas ang phosphorus content ng ating triple superphosphate. Why? Because you are getting an apatite plus a phosphoric acid to produce a fertilizer that would yield a high, very high amount of phosphorus. So mas mataas ang phosphorus content ng triple superphosphate kaysa sa ordinary superphosphate. So again, the correct answer is letter C, ordinary superphosphate. Question number 2. These are soils with extremely high amount of organic matter. So high amount daw yung organic matter ng soil na ito. Ano kayang tawag? So basically, we are asking about a particular soil order or soil type with high organic matter. What are organic matter ulit? Organic matter, these are your decomposed plant and animal materials in your soil. So they contribute to soil fertility ng ating lupa. So alin kaya sa 4 choices of soil orders na to ang may high organic matter? Yun yung tinatanong base doon sa question. Okay? So let's start off with vertisol. What are vertisols exactly? So vertisols, yan yung type of soils or a soil order that is characterized by very, very high clay content. So mataas ang clay content ng vertisol. Therefore, mataas rin yung capacity niya to shrink kapag dry siya because clays shrink kapag wala siyang water, and kapag marami naman siyang water, mataas rin yung capacity niya naman to swell. Okay? But vertisols, they do not exactly contain high organic matter. Again, vertisols contain super high amounts of clay material. So that's vertisol. How about histosols? Histosols, these are soils known for their high organic matter content. So mga histosols, mataas ang organic matter nila. The histosols are soil orders that are commonly found in your wetlands, kung saan mas mabilis yung accumulation ng organic matter kaysa sa decomposition. So dahil medyo basa-basa siya, mas mataas ngayon yung rate na nakaka-collect siya ng organic matter from its surroundings rather than the rate of decomposing it. So histosols, again, is a soil order with high organic matter. How about jellisol? Jellisol is a soil type or a soil order naman that are found in very, very cold regions. Okay? So jellisols are characterized by frost, or technically we term it as permafrost. So jellisols, they are found in very cold regions, and mapapansin natin sa lupa na to, there are frosting kasi nga malamig, kaya makikita natin sa lupa may mga ice, okay? May characteristic of freezing. So they do not typically hindi mataas ang organic matter ng mga jellisol, but rather ang singular characteristic nga niya to determine that your soil is a jellisol is the presence of frost. So jellisol, they can be found in very, very cold regions. Now, how about in hot regions? In hot regions, we can find, or in warm regions, we can find the soil order which we term as ultisols. So ultisols, nakikita yan sa mga warm regions, and they are highly weathered. Ibig sabihin yan, yung mga organic matter dyan, naaalis. So they are highly weathered. Okay, naaalis yung organic matter and some of the macronutrients na kailangan ng halaman. So naaalis dyan yung calcium, phosphorus, and nitrogen. They are being leached. And in fact, sa ultisol, mataas ang presence ng element or nutrient na iron. Kaya ang isa sa mga karakteristik ng ultisol is the fact na medyo reddish itong soil na to. So given that inintroduce ko sa inyo yung characteristics of the different soil orders in the choices, alin daw ang may mataas na organic matter? It's letter B, histosols. Sila yung may mataas, sila yung soil order na may mataas na organic matter. Let's go with question number 3. This is the horizon that shows the characteristic of underlying or overlying horizon. So ano kaya daw tawag doon sa soil horizon natin na may characteristic ng overlaying, so yung horizon na nasa taas niya, and may characteristic din ng underlaying or yung underlying or yung horizon na nasa baba niya. So it's a mix of what is on top, the horizon on top, and the horizon that is below it. Do we call that as transitional horizons, epipedons, diagnostic horizons, or subsurface horizon? Now, to better understand this question, it is important for us to know and understand what is a diagnostic horizon. Ang diagnostic horizon, ito yung, well, in the discussion of soil taxonomy, in the discussion of soil horizons, we know that we have major horizons in our soil, which is O horizon or yung organic layer natin. We have A horizon, B horizon, and C horizon up until we hit our bedrock. Okay. Now, in the process of soil taxonomy or classifying soils, may konsepto doon that talks about diagnostic horizons. Now, if we go deeper kasi sa soil taxonomy or identifying what type of soil horizon is in your soil, we move to some specific layers within the soil profile that are characterized for their distinct properties. So, ang diagnostic horizon is a horizon in your soil profile that is very distinct and unique. And dahil sa kanyang distinctness or dahil sa kanyang uniqueness, ginagamit siya for soil classification. Kaya nga siya ay diagnostic horizon. So it is diagnosing what type of soil is the particular soil of the study base doon sa unique layer niya. Kaya siya tinatawag na diagnostic horizons. And there's also the concept of epipedon. Epipedon, ito yung top layer ng ating soil. So that would include your O and A layer. So kapag distinct yung epipedon natin, ginagamit yung layer na yan to classify what soil to classify yung ating soil. So epipedon, again, top layer yan, alright? Top layer of the soil yan na ginagamit yung kanyang properties. If the epipedon is exhibiting distinctness or uniqueness, ginagamit siya for soil taxonomy and classification. Ano naman yung nasa baba niya? Anong layer naman yung tawag doon? Ang tawag naman sa layer na nasa baba ng epipedon or yung ating top layers is called subsurface horizons. It includes B horizon, so it includes B horizon now, and it includes your parent material as well, okay, or your horizon C. Now, if this layer is distinct, unique, yan din minsan ang ginagamit to classify your soil. Now, ang tinatanong doon sa question is basically, ito daw yung layer ng soil kung saan it is characterized by both the layer na nasa taas niya and the layer na nasa baba niya. Doon na pumapasok yung konsepto ng transitional horizon. Na kumbaga sa location, ito yung, kumbaga kapag papunta ka sa bayan ng, let's say sa bayan ng Quezon Province, bago ka makarating doon, dadaan ka muna sa correct me if I'm wrong pero I think dadaan ka muna sa probinsya ng Laguna, let's say. And before going to Quezon Province, mayroong boundary, di ba? Kung saan nag-meet si Laguna and si Quezon Province. Now, given that, now of course, I might be wrong, okay? So I might be wrong sa mga nakikinig dyan na taga Quezon Province. I might be wrong about my geographical example. But conceptually speaking, I am right. It talks about the boundary. So ang transitional horizon, it is the boundary between two horizons. So for example, itong A horizon may specific siyang characteristic. Itong B horizon, mayroon din siyang specific na characteristic. Now let's say na before A goes to B, mayroon kang layer doon which is a mix of A and B. Okay? Yun yung tinatawag nating transitional horizon. Within this horizon, Sa gitna, yung horizon na pinapagitnaan ni A at B, mapapansin natin yung mixture ng characteristics of horizon A and horizon B. So therefore, since the question is asking the horizon that shows the characteristics na nasa taas and nasa baba, or a combination of what is on top, of the layer that is on top and the layer that is below it, ang tawag po natin dyan is transitional horizon. Question number 4. Microorganisms that are most active in the decaying of organic substances in soils are, do we call that as autotrophs, aerobes, anaerobes, or phototrophs? So it is important for us to understand the concept of decomposition to answer this question. What is decomposition? Decomposition is the process by which organic matter, so either that be dead plants or animals, is broken down into simpler substances by some of your microorganisms. So very, very important ang decomposition, especially sa proseso ng pagkakaroon ng nutrient doon sa lupa and soil health na gagamitin ngayon ng iyong halaman. So, una natin na alamin kung ano ba yung two terms na autotrophs and phototrophs. So, autotrophs, these are organisms, so either micro or macro, that produces their own food from inorganic substances. So, isa sa mga pinaka-classic na example ng autotrophs is, of course, our plants, di ba? Our plants produces their own food. It uses sunlight to create energy through photosynthesis, kung saan nakaka-create siya ng sugar na ginagamit niya in manufacturing its energy. So autotrophs, they are not involved in the decomposition of organic substances, but rather they produce their own food through a process like photosynthesis. How about phototrophs? So with the word photo meaning light, these are organisms that obtain energy from their sunlight. Again, classic example is a plant, di ba? A plant uses sunlight to to produce sugar that they will use as their energy. So phototrophs, they are not primarily involved in the decomposition of organic matter ulit. Rather, they are organisms na ang pinaka-role nila is related sa they capture sunlight and then they convert it to energy. Therefore, autotrophs and phototrophs are not now the correct answer. Kasi ang tinatanong natin dito sa question is, ano daw tawag doon sa microorganism that is most active in the decaying of organic substances in the soil, or in the decomposition of the decaying plants and animals in the soil. So puntahan naman na natin yung dalawang natirang concept, which are aerobes and anaerobes. So unahin natin ang aerobes. What are aerobes? Aerobes are microorganisms. So tama na, no, na microorganism kasi yun yung tinatanong natin sa question. So aerobes are microorganisms that require oxygen. So ang aerobes, kailangan nila ng oxygen para mabuhay and to thrive, to survive and to thrive. So ginagamit nila yung oxygen to break down organic matter in the soil. So aerobes are microorganisms that uses oxygen to break down plant and animal debris in the soil, promoting now decomposition. Okay? Ano naman ang anaerobes? Ang anaerobes, kung ang aerobes kailangan nila ng oxygen to decompose material in the soil, anaerobes, they do not need oxygen. In fact, some anaerobes, harmful pa ang oxygen sa kanila. So they are also very important in decomposition. But pero ang anaerobes, they are microorganisms, okay? They are microorganisms that do not need oxygen. Active sila, yes, sa lupa na wala masyadong oxygen. Now, the question specifically asks kung anong klaseng microorganism daw ang active sa decomposition process in soils. So, hindi niya in-specify kung anong klaseng soil ba yan. Is that a oxygen-rich soil or a oxygen-poor soil, right? So, hindi niya in-specify kung anong klaseng soils. Now, we would assume na yung soil na sinasabi niya sa question na to pertains to the normal soil that we have, based on the normal soil that we have. Kung mababalikan natin yung lesson natin, what consists a soil? Di ba? Ang soil, mayroon kang solid material and mayroon kang pore spaces. And the pore spaces includes air and water. And yung air mo na yon may oxygen. So therefore, kung ang pinapertain natin is the common soil that we are pertaining about, it is mas tamang sagot na aerobe yung sagot. Okay? Why? Well, because aerobes are microorganisms that are most active in the decomposition of organic materials in soils na may air. And basically, most of our soils naman may air. Ngayon, kapag ang tinanong dyan sa question na yan is microorganisms that are most active in decomposition in waterlogged soils or in soils na mababa yung oxygen, then anaerobes naman yung magiging tamang sagot. 'Di ba? Kasi ang anaerobes, active sila sa decomposition kapag yung lupa mo ay walang oxygen. Last question. What do you call the process of nutrient movement from the soil to roots, which is largely dependent to root growth? Now, ano yung basic concept that we need to understand here? Nutrient movement. What is nutrient movement? Nutrient movement is simply yung proseso kung saan yung nutrient na nasa soil ay naitatransport sa halaman para magamit niya. So that's nutrient movement. How does nutrient moves from your soil to the roots of your plants para magamit yon ng iyong halaman? And there are basically mechanisms on how these nutrients are transported from the soil going to your plant. So the first mechanism is absorption. Simply speaking, yung halaman mo, it will take up nutrients from the soil solution into going into now to your plant. So parang sponge kumbaga na nag-absorb lang yung root natin. So with the word absorption, ina-absorb niya yung nutrient na galing sa soil. So that's absorption. And the process of absorption is related to the process of diffusion. So, ano mga ba ang diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of nutrients from areas of higher concentration to areas of lower concentration. So, within your soil, for example, so dito sa soil na to, so within your soil is an area of higher concentration kung saan marami yung mga mineral nutrient na nasa soil na yan. Ngayon, yung sa root zone mo, these are areas of lower concentration. So, hindi ganon karami yung nutrients dyan. So, ang sinasabi ng model of diffusion or the idea of diffusion, binabalanse daw kasi ng environment na yan yung concentration levels na to. So, that means, if mataas masyado yung concentration na nasa lupa as compared doon sa concentration na nasa roots, nagkukusa na yung soil solution na to na may yung basically yung water na may nutrient nagmo-move siya from higher concentration to lower concentration, thus allowing the plant to absorb yung nutrient na nasa lupa. So yun yung sinasabi ng model of diffusion. No? Areas with higher concentration will move, so areas of higher concentration, nutrients from areas na nasa higher concentration will move to areas with lower concentration. That is why nagmo-move yung nutrient from the soil going to your plant. Mass flow is also a concept that allows your nutrients to move from the soil going to your plant. Pero specifically, ang mass flow is related to the movement of water. Okay? Bakit? Yung root natin, yung root ng halaman, yung roots ng halaman, it absorbs water, right? And within that water, may mga minerals din doon. Now, when the roots absorb water, kapag yung root mo ay nag-absorb ng water, palitan natin yung kulay para mas makita. So if the roots will absorb water now, within this space, what happens is nagkakaroon ng vacuum or an empty space. Yung empty space na yan, attracted dyan yung tubig na nasa labas ng area na to. So ang nangyayari is yung tubig na nasa labas ng area na to, since nabakante na nga, may vacant space na dito, they are now drawn into that. Yan yung concept ng mass flow. Okay? So ang mass flow is a concept of water movement. Kung saan, kapag yung water na to nakakakita siya ng anything na vacuum or space kung saan wala ng tubig, kusa siyang nagmo-move doon. Thereby now, creating nutrient movement. Kung saan nagmo-move yung water. Basically kasi yung water mo na to may nutrients din, di ba? So yung water na nasa labas na to, since napansin niyang may spaces na dyan sa loob na yan, kusa na siyang nagmo-move through mass flow. And ano na yung third mechanism? Yung third mechanism is we term now as root interception. So with the word root, intercepting, this is the process now kung saan yung roots, dahil lumalaki yung roots natin, ano? Because the root is growing, it will physically branch out, and kapag nagbabranch out siya, kapag nagmo-move siya, kinukuha niya rin yung nutrients na nasa area na to, na hindi niya maaabot kung hanggang dito lang siya. Okay? So root interception basically is the process wherein the roots will physically encounter and take up nutrients in the soil as they grow and as they expand. Okay? So the roots will explore the soil and make contact with the nutrient particles na nandito sa area na to, and therefore absorbing now the nutrients. Now, given that, ano ulit yung tanong? The question is a process of nutrient movement from the soil to the roots, which is largely dependent saan? On root growth. And given that, alin sa mga choices na to, yung mechanism na diniscuss ko, na that pertains to root growth. Nag-absorb ng nutrients yung halaman kasi lumalaki and nag-e-expand yung kanyang root? The answer is letter D, root interception.